This wasn't science. In 2015, a man defected through the Philippines to Finland. He was a researcher from North Korea. What he brought with him wasn't a passport or money. It was his testimony. I saw them through the glass walls. They were living, breathing people. A world cut off from the South. Hidden there was a research facility no one knew about. Deep underground. Researchers in white coats walking back and forth. Their eyes were cold. No emotion. There's a person inside the glass chamber. He can't scream. The glass is too thick. From outside, you can only see his mouth moving. A researcher pulls a lever. Invisible gas slowly begins to fill the chamber. From that moment on, a human being becomes data. That's when I knew. I knew what we were really doing. We'll call this man Mr. Lee. We can't reveal his real name. His family is still in North Korea. Mr. Lee worked there for 15 years at a microbiology institute in Kanggye, Jagang province. On the surface, it was known for epidemic prevention research, but that was a lie. At first, I believed it too, that it was research for the nation. He majored in biochemistry at university. His grades were excellent. He was selected by the party. He thought it was an honor. On his first day, he signed a pledge. Everything you see here is a state secret. If disclosed, both you and your family will be punished. He nodded. He thought it was natural. But the moment he went down to the second basement level, everything changed. The corridor was long. Fluorescent lights flickered. The smell of disinfectant stung his nose. From here on, don't take off your mask, a senior researcher said. His voice was calm, as if reading lab safety instructions. A door opened. There was a room made of glass. More precisely, a transparent isolation chamber, about 3 meters by 3 meters. A person was standing inside. At first I thought it was a mannequin, but the person moved, slowly lifted their head. Their eyes met. My heart stopped in that moment. Mr. Lee asked his senior, "Who is that person?" "A test subject." "A test subject?" "Yeah." "Supplied." Supplied. That word stuck in Mr. Lee's ear, referring to a person like an object. Where are they supplied from? The senior didn't answer, just handed over a record sheet. You just check the reaction time. Don't worry about the rest. Mr. Lee picked up the pen with trembling hands. The institute supposedly researched epidemic defense systems, but in reality it was developing chemical weapons. Sarin gas, nerve agents, toxic substances. Our mission was to confirm what effects these substances had on the human body. That was it. Confirm, verify, record. Except the subjects weren't rats. They were people. Where did the test subjects come from? A few weeks later, Mr. Lee asked again. This time a different senior answered. The State Security Department sends them. The Security Department? Yeah. Useless ones. They're going to be executed anyway. Useless ones. Those words echoed in Mr. Lee's mind. Mostly political prisoners. People who believe in religion. People who criticize the system. People who tried to defect. That type. Mr. Lee finally understood. The people who came here had no trial, no defense, no choice. They were simply supplied. Experiments were conducted every Tuesday and Friday, 9 a.m. A new test subject enters, mostly male, between 20 and 50 years old. They wore military-style clothing, but no rank insignia, only numbers. Today is number 317. A researcher opened the record sheet. Number 317. Mr. Lee wrote down that number. No name, no age, just a number. The test subject enters the glass chamber. The door closes. Air is sealed off. Prepare for injection. The lead researcher says, Mr. Lee turned on the timer. His hands were shaking, but he couldn't stop pressing it. Begin injection. The lever was pulled. Gas began emerging from a small hole in the glass chamber's ceiling. No color, no smell, but the effect was immediate. First 30 seconds. The test subject showed no reaction, just standing there. 1 minute. Breathing quickened. Hands began to tremble. 2 minutes. Coughing started. Violent. Body bent over. 3 minutes. Collapse to the floor. Convulsions starting. Record. The researcher said coldly, Mr. Lee wrote numbers on the record sheet. His hand shook so much the writing smeared. 5 minutes. The convulsions stopped. The test subject no longer moved. Terminate. Prepare for sample collection. Personnel in protective suits entered, dragged out the body, and the next test subject was waiting. Next is number 318. The same process repeated. Mr. Lee recorded 5 experiments that day. When leaving work, he washed his hands, soaped them more than 10 times. But the feeling wouldn't wash away. North Korea hasn't joined the Chemical Weapons Convention. Mr. Lee learned later, chemical weapons are banned under international law, but North Korea never signed that treaty, so what we were doing wasn't illegal, at least by their logic. But Mr. Lee knew this was a crime. It wasn't just the research institute. In 2023, a North Korean human rights report was released. It contained shocking content. Testimony that hospitals were being used as laboratories. Hospital 83, a psychiatric hospital in Pyongyang. On the surface, it treated mental illness patients. But the reality was different. That place was a detention center. Another defector testified. Whether you had mental illness or not, once you went in, you couldn't get out. Patients weren't treated. Instead, they became subjects for drug experiments. They gave injections saying they were testing new medicine. What happened after, nobody knows. They just kept records. Hospital 49 in North Hamgyong Province was the same. In 2019, a patient cursed Kim Jong-un in their hospital room. The next day, they disappeared. I heard they were transferred to Camp 83 Management Office. Camp 83 Management Office, a different place from the hospital. Deeper. If you go there, nobody comes back. The witness said with a trembling voice. They call it a psychiatric hospital, but it's actually an experimental facility. Intellectually disabled people, mentally ill patients, anti-regime figures, they all got sent there. The key point was this. There was no consent. Whether patient or prisoner, no one knew they were becoming experiment subjects. No explanation, no right to refuse. Whether you were sick or not, there was no right to consent at all. A space where human rights were stripped away. In his 5th year, Mr. Lee made eye contact with a test subject for the first time. That day, experiments were proceeding as usual. Number 392. A woman. It was the first time. Most had been men. She appeared to be about 30. Hair cut short, face gaunt. When she entered the glass chamber, she saw Mr. Lee. Their eyes met precisely. She said nothing, but her eyes were speaking. Please. Mr. Lee turned his head away. Begin injection. The gas entered. She collapsed. Mr. Lee couldn't sleep that night. I kept seeing those eyes. I had committed murder. The next day was the same, and the day after. In his 10th year, Mr. Lee made a decision. I can't do this anymore. But he couldn't quit. Leaving the institute was like desertion, punishable by firing squad. So he chose another path, defection. At first I thought I was running away to survive. But that wasn't it. In the winter of 2014, Mr. Lee crossed the Tumen River, through China to Southeast Asia, arrived in the Philippines. There he contacted the UN Refugee Agency. I was a North Korean researcher. I have testimony to give. At first, no one believed him. Human experiments, really? Yes, I saw it with my own eyes. Mr. Lee took out a notebook. It was filled with dates and numbers. This is my experimental log. The official's face hardened. This could be evidence. A few months later, Mr. Lee was granted asylum in Finland. There he officially began his testimony. I didn't leave to survive anymore. I left to speak for them. His testimony was delivered to international human rights organizations. The UN Commission of Inquiry on Human Rights in North Korea also heard his story. You are a courageous person, the investigator said. No, I'm a coward. I stayed silent for 10 years. Mr. Lee's voice trembled. I'm sorry to them, but I can't stop now. North Korea denied all allegations. No such facilities exist. This is fabricated testimony. That was the official position. But testimonies kept coming. 2015, Mr. Lee. 2017, another researcher. 2019, a hospital official. 2023, a camp guard. People who worked at different times, different places, different positions, but their testimonies aligned. Human experiments exist. The UN Commission of Inquiry on Human Rights in North Korea published a report in 2014. The North Korean regime has committed crimes against humanity. One of them is human experimentation. The international community pressured North Korea. Stop immediately. Open the facilities. Accept investigation. But North Korea didn't respond. Even to this day in 2025, the experiments are probably continuing even now. Mr. Lee said in an interview, there isn't just one institute. There are several. The place I worked was just one of them. International human rights organizations analyze satellite images. Kanggye in Jagang Province, North Hamgyong Province, outskirts of Pyongyang. Suspicious facilities were detected in multiple regions, but there's no way to confirm. North Korea won't allow access. It was a frustrating reality, but we can't stop. A human rights activist said. Testimonies keep accumulating. Someday the truth will be revealed. Mr. Lee still lives in Finland today. He says he sometimes has nightmares. The people in the glass chambers appear. They ask me, "Why didn't you save us?" Mr. Lee can't answer. But I'm speaking out now. That's all I can do. The UN adopts a North Korean human rights resolution every year. It includes demands to stop human experimentation. But North Korea remains silent. This isn't an old story, Mr. Lee emphasized. Right now, at this very moment, someone is inside a glass chamber. Even as we tell this story, the glass hasn't shattered yet. Those were Mr. Lee's last words. But as long as we don't stop, someday it will. Until that day, testimony will continue, because truth cannot be hidden.